Every solid object you come into contact with, the chair beneath you, the bones within your body, is nothing but an illusion of stillness concealing a frantic, invisible storm of vibration. We spend our whole lives convinced we are flesh and injury drifting through a silent universe, entirely blind to the truth that we are living strands of energy trapped within a dense, heavy realm. The fatigue that weighs on you at day's end, the inexplicable anxiety that tightens your chest, the quiet feeling that you don't belong in this world. These are not psychological defects. They are signs of a spiritual frequency that has slipped out of tune with its divine source. You are tuned to the wrong song. Creation did not start with a silent burst of matter. The first stirring of the divine mind was a projection of pure energy, a resonance that set the limits of everything that would ever come to be. The ancient texts describe the Creator speaking the world into being. This is a description of the physics of the spiritual realm. The universe was sung into existence. Each soul was born as a singular note within the mind of God, a perfect harmonious frequency made to expand and experience the immensity of creation. In our original condition, we were beings of pure light and pure sound, vibrating at a rate so high that physical matter could not contain us. But the soul was granted the gift of free will, and with free will came the longing to experience different states of being, to venture into the denser, heavier corners of the cosmos. As souls pressed themselves into Earth's physical dimensions, their vibration began to slow. The pure ringing tone of the divine origin became dulled. The spirit dressed itself in matter, and matter is simply energy vibrating at its absolute lowest, slowest rate. This descent into the physical world was not a punishment. It was a choice, a classroom where the soul could learn the precise consequence of its actions through the law of cause and effect. Yet the longer a soul stays tangled in the dense vibrations of selfishness, greed, and fear, the more warped its original frequency becomes. Illness in the physical body is the final outward expression of a soul that has been vibrating out of tune across lifetimes. Long before sickness ever touches the organs or manifests as injury, it begins as an energetic discord within the spiritual body. Anger, resentment, and an absence of charity create literal interference patterns within the human energy field. These dissonant frequencies gradually accumulate lifetime after lifetime until the physical body collapses beneath the burden of carrying such a heavy, chaotic melody. This is the true nature of human struggle. We are divine instruments who have forgotten how to play our original song. Each time you act from deep selfishness, you lower the pitch of your being. Each time you offer genuine charity to another human being without expecting anything in return, you raise that pitch, sounding a chord that echoes back to the Creator. The physical world is a harsh environment that ceaselessly bombards the spirit with heavy, discordant noise. The news, the conflicts, the relentless chase after material gain, all of these are low frequencies engineered to keep the soul tethered to the dust, unable to recall the light from which it came. The mind itself is a master transmitter and receiver of these vibrations. Thoughts are not private, silent events sealed inside your skull. Every thought produces a distinct, measurable frequency that radiates outward, engaging with the unseen forces of the world. When you linger in hatred or cling to old grievances, you broadcast a dark, heavy static that draws identical frequencies back into your life. You quite literally attract circumstances, people, and tragedies that match the dominant vibration of your mind. In contrast, a mind centered on the divine, grounded in prayer and complete trust in the Creator, generates a protective shield of high-frequency energy. This shield deflects the lower vibrations of fear and malice that saturate modern society. The spiritual hierarchy of the universe perceived that humanity was descending into a density so deep that it might never rise again. A tuning fork became necessary. A flawless, pure note had to ring out within the heavy atmosphere of the earth to provide lost souls with a reference point, a sound to which they could attune themselves. This was the precise purpose behind the entrance of Jesus Christ into the physical realm. He did not arrive simply to teach morality. He came to embody the Christ consciousness, the highest attainable frequency of love and divine alignment. Moving through life in a human body, his existence, His acts of pure charity and his ultimate sacrifice produced a powerful resonant wave throughout the energetic fabric of the earth. He established the standard pitch for the human soul. To follow him is to deliberately tune your own spiritual vibration to the exact frequency he set forth. The invisible world that surrounds you is not empty space. It is a thick, pulsating ocean of recorded energy. Every action you have ever performed, every word you have ever uttered, and every concealed intention you believed when unseen creates a distinct ripple in the fabric of reality. These ripples do not simply dissolve into nothingness. They are permanently inscribed into the energetic ether of the universe, forming an immense vibrating archive called the Book of Life. This is not a literal book of paper and ink, nor is it kept by figures among the clouds. It is a living, intricate matrix of frequency. The very walls of the rooms you inhabit soak up the energetic residue of your arguments, your silent despairs, and your moments of sincere prayer. The earth itself preserves the vibratory memory of every conflict and every act of profound mercy. When a soul readies itself to re-enter the physical world for another lifetime, it must connect with its own energetic ledger. It is obligated to inherit the precise vibrational consequences it left in its wake during previous centuries. The unforeseen tragedies that arrive without warning, the instant inexplicable bonds formed with total strangers, the innate gifts that appear to surface from nowhere. These are not haphazard accidents of genetics or destiny. They are the returning echoes of your own prior deeds colliding with your present existence. The universe insists upon absolute mathematical balance. The law of cause and effect is merely the spiritual physics of restoring a distorted wave to perfect equilibrium. When the physical body finally ceases functioning at the close of a lifetime, the soul does not journey across the heavens to a distant kingdom. It does not appear before a literal gate to be judged by an outside authority. Death is simply the shedding of the burdensome physical garment. What endures is the unclothed vibrating essence of the spirit, freed of every earthly illusion. Without the numbing, cushioning effect of flesh and injury, the soul immediately and automatically gravitates toward the dimension of the unseen realm that precisely corresponds to its dominant frequency. This is an unbreakable law of spiritual gravity. If a soul has lived a lifetime devoured by greed, lust, or bitter resentment, its inner vibration is dense, sluggish, and weighty. At the instant of passing, it is magnetically pulled downward into realms of matching density. It arrives in a dimension populated entirely by other souls, vibrating in the exact same agonizing dissonance. This is the true terrifying nature of hell. It is not a torture chamber constructed by a wrathful creator. It is a self-fashioned state of being, an inescapable prison built wholly out of the soul's own low frequencies. Conversely, a soul that has devoted its earthly life to charity, quiet forgiveness, and the relentless pursuit of divine light vibrates at a swift, luminous rate. When it departs the physical shell, it ascends naturally, pulled upward like a helium balloon into dimensions of exquisite harmony and breathtaking expansion. Yet the soul's educational journey does not conclude in these realms of repose. Between earthly incarnations, consciousness traverses various planetary environments throughout our solar system. The planets are not simply lifeless rocks drifting through a black void. They are vast, vibrating hubs of spiritual instruction. A soul may dwell within the energetic atmosphere of a particular planet to cultivate profound patience, to soften its aggressive tendencies, or to grasp the workings of universal love. When that soul eventually returns to Earth, the astrological alignments at the precise moment of its birth are not what cause its earthly character. They merely serve as the physical symbolic mirror of the frequencies the soul absorbed during its time in those invisible planetary classrooms. The cosmos is a precisely tuned mechanism, perfectly calibrated to deliver the exact vibratory conditions a soul needs in order to continue evolving. Because the whole architecture of the universe is built upon vibration, the sounds we generate in the physical world carry enormous, nearly terrifying power. The spoken word is never simply an instrument for casual conversation. It is a literal device of creation and destruction. When you speak, you compel the air within your lungs to vibrate, producing a physical wave that carries the precise frequency of your inner intention. A harsh, cruel word uttered in deep anger literally rips at the energetic field of the one receiving it. It functions as a low-frequency instrument capable of altering the receiver's physical vitality. A sincere blessing, a word of profound encouragement, or a heartfelt, selfless prayer transforms the atomic structure of the immediate surroundings. The human body's central nervous system functions like an extraordinarily sensitive antenna, perpetually picking up and interpreting these unseen forces. Genuine healing, then, is never merely the chemical silencing of bodily symptoms. Genuine healing is the act of lifting the vibration of afflicted tissue back to its original, flawless pitch. The body is a biological symphony, and sickness is simply one section of the orchestra playing painfully off-key. To heal the flesh lastingly, one must first set the spirit right. The human soul must voluntarily decide to let go of its heavy discord and realign itself with the master tuning fork of the Christ consciousness, permitting the divine frequency to renew the physical body. The ultimate purpose of human life is not to flee the material world, but to spiritualize it. You are here to channel the highest conceivable frequency into the densest conceivable matter. Each day brings an unending stream of vibrational choices. When you meet malice with patience, you are literally reshaping the energetic fabric of your surroundings. You become an active participant in the redemption of the earth. But this demands unwavering vigilance. The physical world is built to drag your pitch downward. The dense gravity of earthly cravings, the ceaseless demands of the ego, the illusion of being separate from your fellow human beings. All these forces conspire to warp your original tone. To remain in a state of spiritual grace is to wage a continual battle against the gravity of low vibrations. It calls for an intentional daily tuning of mind and heart, fastening oneself to the everlasting resonance of the divine plan. Decades ago, Edgar Cayce held that human beings were profoundly influenced by unseen vibrations, frequencies that could shape emotional, mental, and even spiritual states. Back then, many brushed off these notions as superstition. Yet today, contemporary researchers have begun investigating how particular sounds might affect concentration, profound relaxation, and altered states of awareness. While putting this video together, I stumbled upon a sound experience that powerfully echoed the concepts you've just heard. If you're interested in trying it yourself, I've placed the link in the description and in the first pinned comment. But engage with it properly, in silence, free from distractions, because some listeners say it utterly transformed how they understand their own minds. And now the question turns to you. Take a careful look at the reality you've constructed around yourself. Look at the people you draw in, the conflicts that keep repeating year after year, the lingering anxieties that jolt you awake in the middle of the night. This is your dominant frequency made visible. What exactly are you transmitting into the world when you sit completely alone in a room with no television, no phone, no constant noise of distraction? What do you feel? Does the silence bring you deep peace? Or does it bring a terrifying, suffocating panic? If silence frightens you, it's because you're finally hearing the warped, heavy dissonance of your own soul. You're hearing the echoes of every selfish decision, every grudge held tight, every small act of cruelty you've tried to bury beneath the noise of modern life. You complain about how draining your daily routine is, but have you ever considered that the exhaustion comes from the sheer energetic strain of holding a false note? You're pouring enormous amounts of spiritual energy into pretending to be someone you aren't. You blame the world for your unhappiness. You blame the economy. You blame the people around you. But the universe is simply a mirror, flawlessly reflecting your internal chaos back at you. If your life is saturated with betrayal and bitterness, what dark frequency are you secretly carrying that demands such a reflection? You cannot bend the law of vibration to your will. You cannot counterfeit a high frequency through a hollow grin or empty phrases. The invisible realm perceives the heart of your intent, not the disguise you put on. When the last day of this earthly existence comes and the heavy garment of flesh falls away, what sound will linger? Will you ascend into the light like a pure, ringing bell? Or will you collapse beneath the crushing weight of your own static? The tape is still running. The book of life is still recording. What melody are you composing in this very moment? If what you just listened to stirred something within you, There is a way to welcome this silence rather than flee from it. I have placed a link in the description of this video and in the first pinned comment. That sound experience was crafted precisely for moments such as this, when the clamor of the world feels overwhelming and the soul pleads to be heard. Open it tonight in a quiet space and allow it to reach the places within you that words can no longer touch. The teachings offered in this video are drawn from the work of Edgar Cayce, the American mystic of the 20th century, whose documented readings examine the soul's journey, reincarnation, the laws of vibration, and the path of return to the divine. This content was developed based on the study of his readings and the archives of the Re.